Fortunately, our faces reveal so much information. In fact, it was Abraham Lincoln who said, by the time we're 30, we have the faces we deserve. And they do tell quite a bit of information. Our faces can tell the kind of something about the traumas that we lived and so forth. We can immediately deduce if someone is happy, contented, or if they're having a tough day, or if they're struggling with something. And the way to look at the face is to really break it down into the various features that transmit the most information. When we are relaxed, our facial muscles, our mouths and so forth, the muscles are in fact very pliable, and they're relaxed, they're comfortable and so forth. But the minute that we sense something negative, or there's any kind of tension, whether we see it, let's say somebody we don't like, or we sense somebody approaching that looks suspicious, or we are contemplating a subject that is difficult for us, our face begins to demonstrate that information. And it usually begins with the tension around the face, tension in the lips, where the lips tend to become a little tighter, or they completely disappear, or we compress them. And this is a very accurate indicator of some sort of distress or discomfort. We may see, for instance, the licking of the lips or the biting of the lips, which is a very accurate indicator that there's some sort of distress going on. And then there's some other subtle things that we may not think of. For instance, facial touching, which we tend to do in this way when we're thinking about something, but then when we're bothered by something, we tend to do it in a different way. There may be some facial massaging, facial stroking, and so forth, which has a very pacifying, soothing effect on us. The other things that we look for in the face are associated with, for instance, the nose. And one of the things that we find is when we see something or we hear something we don't like, we tend to crinkle our nose upward like this, indicative of something very negative or that we dislike. And in fact, in conjunction with that, what we often see when we see something we dislike or hear something we dislike, we will purse our lips, and it's done this way. So somebody's talking to somebody else and the other person is doing this. Chances are they disagree with what's being said, or they're thinking something alternatively, but it's usually something equated with something negative. And then we get into the area of the eyes, and of course when we are happy, when we're contented, our eye orbits, this rather large area here, tends to be very open, very relaxed. The muscles are not tense at all. And then of course something happens which changes that. Something negative takes place, or we hear something negative, or we see something negative, and then we begin to squint. The orbits of the eyes become smaller, and in fact the pupils may actually become pinpoint and constrict, so that vision becomes more perfect as we're looking at someone. And I often equate this with Clint Eastwood in a lot of the movies that he was in. When he's ready to shoot somebody, you see a lot of squinting behaviors, very much associated with something negative. And then lastly, in the face, most of the anxiety that we exhibit throughout our lives, we exhibit it in the face, in the forehead. We even see this with babies that are 2 and 3 days old. The face begins to show indicators of discomfort. They're wet or they're hungry, and in particular around the forehead area. And this is one of the things that I teach, that we want to look for those things because they're very accurate. And the beauty of facial displays is that we usually see them in real time. There's no delay, and they're extremely accurate. And they tell us how we're feeling, what we're thinking, and sometimes even what we're intending.